The Assassin and the Phoenix Part 2. Chapter 10. Heir of the Flame. By dawn, the snow had buried half the watchtower. Ice lined the rafters like veins of glass. The fire had died to embers. May sat awake, knees drawn to her chest, her mind still spinning with prophecy, memory, and the feel of Kai's ring warming in her hand. She wasn't just a forgotten daughter anymore. She was a target. A truth-bearer. And maybe, something more. Kai stirred beside her. He sat up, wincing slightly as he moved. "We can't stay here," he said, voice rough with sleep. "The scouts will reach this ridge by nightfall." May nodded, already fastening her cloak. "Then we don't run. We go toward the fire." He looked at her. "You're sure? I want answers. You said the ruins of the Phoenix Temple were where your mother hid the last of your bloodline's truth." He hesitated. Then pulled something from the lining of his cloak. A map. Old. Ink faded. Charcoal lines drawn over a mountainous region just beyond the imperial borders, buried behind forest, ice, and memory. At the bottom corner, a symbol. A flame rising from a lotus blossom. "The temple isn't just ruins," Kai said. "It's a vault. My mother said it would only open for Phoenix blood, or for someone carrying the last ring." May's eyes fell to the ring in her palm. "She meant for us to open it together," she said quietly. Kai looked away. "Or she knew only one of us would make it." By mid-morning, they'd packed what little they had. May had bound her ribs tightly. Kai wore a stolen scout's cloak for camouflage. Snow crunched beneath their feet as they moved down the ridge and into the forest. But just before they reached the frozen river, Kai paused. "There's someone we have to see first." May arched a brow. "A friend?" He almost smiled. "A dangerous one." The contact lived in a cave beneath a waterfall, half hidden behind icicles and moss. A crescent moon was carved into the rock at the entrance, surrounded by symbols May didn't recognize. Inside, the firelight danced along the walls, casting shadows on scrolls and masks, bottles and blades. A woman sat cross-legged by the fire, sharpening a dagger with rhythmic strokes. She had storm-gray eyes and a scar along her jaw. Her cloak was raven feather black, her armor mismatched but elegant in its chaos. "Tala." She looked up. And grinned. "Phoenix boy," she said. "You look worse than usual." Kai smirked. "Miss you too." Tala's gaze flicked to May. "So this is the one with the dagger in her heart and the court on her heels." May said nothing. Tala tossed her the blade she'd been sharpening. "Welcome to treason." Over hot tea and smoked meat, they explained everything: the attack, the prophecy, the lantern archive, the silk court's betrayal. Tala listened without interrupting. Then stood. And walked to the far side of the cave, where an iron trunk rested beneath a fur covering. She opened it and pulled free a banner, red silk, singed at the edges. At its center, a phoenix in mid-rise, wings curled inward like a promise unfinished. "This symbol hasn't been seen in 20 years, she said. "Last time it flew, the palace slaughtered everyone who followed it." "Will they still answer it?" Kai asked. Tala turned to May. "I don't know," she said. "But if they're going to follow anyone, it won't be him." She pointed to Kai. "It'll be you." May froze. "Me? You were Silk Court." "You were one of them. You saw the truth and walked away. They'll see you as proof that it's all coming undone." "I didn't ask for that." "None of us do," Tala said. "But you didn't kneel." "That's enough for now." That night, as they camped by the river's edge, Tala drew symbols in the dirt with a piece of bone, routes, contacts, the names of old allies lost in the frost of fear. "Get to the temple," she said. "Find what's hidden. I'll send word through the old lines. We'll burn silk and shout fire. She met May's gaze. If you live through this, I'll bring you an army. As the fire died low, Kai sat beside May in silence. I never wanted this, he said. I just wanted to survive. So did I, she replied. But survival isn't enough anymore. No, May said. Now we rise. Far above them, the stars burned brighter than they had in weeks. And in the distance, a single flame bloomed on the horizon. The Phoenix Temple had not forgotten. It was calling them home. Chapter 11. Love is the weakness. The journey began in silence. 3 cloaked figures. 1 blade-broken path. A forest cloaked in frost and shadow. Above them, the skeletal trees stretched into the gray sky like claws reaching for something already lost. Mei Ling kept to the front. Not because she didn't trust Kai. Not because she didn't trust Tala. But because silence was safer than the thoughts spiraling inside her. What if she failed? What if the prophecy was a lie? What if she was never meant to survive this? On the 3rd day, they reached the edge of Jade Spine Gorge, a treacherous canyon known for its twisting paths and ambushes. The cliffs were sheer. Wind howled through the crevices. And hidden in the rock's curve stood an outpost, flying the banner of the Empress. Tala swore under her breath. Didn't expect patrols this far north. Kai scanned the cliffs. If we try to sneak across the ridge, we'll be seen. There's a cave, Tala said. Abandoned smuggler's den, down near the riverbed. Could cut under the outpost. Risk of traps? May asked. Tala smirked. Only if you're slow. The cave smelled of mold and fire. Its stone walls dripped with ancient water, the echoes of the river below never quite fading. But there was space to move, to breathe, to plan. And that's where it all went wrong. It happened fast. A sound, too soft for echo, too sharp for wind. May turned. Tala was gone. A moment later, the cave entrance collapsed in a roar of falling stone. Trapped. Smoke began to seep from the crack at the far wall, sweet, unnatural, acrid with something that made May's throat burn. Kai drew his blade. It's smoke-root gas. Hallucinogenic. Makes your mind unravel. From where? May asked, already pulling fabric to cover her face. His expression was grim. Only one group uses it. The Court of Ash. May went cold. A branch of the Silk Court. Exiles. Rogue assassins who traded tradition for brutality. If they were here, it wasn't a hunt anymore. It was a message. Someone had sold them out. May, Kai said, coughing now. Look! Through the haze, a figure approached. Slim. Familiar gait. Not Court of Ash. Tala. May staggered forward, furious. You led us into this. Tala held up her hands. I didn't betray you. You vanished. The cave collapsed. Now there's gas. Tell me why I shouldn't gut you. Because if I'd wanted you dead, Tala said, you wouldn't be standing. Kai stepped between them, coughing harder. We need to get out. We're breathing too much of it. May turned back toward the wall. The smoke blurred her vision. Then, a memory she didn't recognize struck her like a blade. A temple. Her mother's voice. A circle of masked women chanting in a dialect she didn't know. And a phrase, repeated again and again. The fire knows the lie. The fire knows the lie. The fire. She fell to her knees. Hands pressed to her head. The ring on her finger burned. The seal on Kai's back pulsed through his robes. Tala's voice faded to a whisper. Kai knelt beside her, grabbed her shoulders. May! Stay with me. I remember, fire. A ceremony. They put something in me, Kai. He looked into her eyes, and what he saw there made his own fill with fear. Not a curse, he said. A trigger. She reached inside her cloak and pulled out the phoenix scroll. The embering shimmered as if it were alive. One must die, so the other may rise. And suddenly, she understood. The prophecy wasn't just fate. It was programming. A built-in failsafe. If she ever betrayed the court, her memory would collapse. Her will would shatter. And she'd become what they really wanted. A weapon with no name. No, she whispered. Not again. She stood. Lifted the scroll. And dropped it into the fire. It flared gold. Burned blue. Then vanished. Gone. Kai stared at her, stunned. That prophecy was binding me, she said. I won't let them decide who I become. Tala at last smiled. No, she said. Now they'll be afraid of you. They escaped the cave at dusk, weak but alive. The smoke had faded. The court of ash had vanished. But something else had awakened. Not just in May. In the air. In the wind. In the way the birds fled the trees before they landed. The phoenix was stirring. And the silk court had lost control. Chapter 12: The Broken Oath. The snow began just before dawn. It came fast, thick, heavy, relentless. The sky turned white with silence. The trees bowed beneath the weight. The world itself felt like it had been wrapped in morning silk. Mei Ling walked ahead of Kai and Tala, boots crunching through the frost. Her hand hovered near the blade at her waist. Every breath she exhaled steamed out like a ghost. They were close to the Phoenix Temple ruins now. Only a few miles east. But something had changed in the air. A pressure. A presence. Kai noticed it first. We're being watched, he said, hand tightening on his hilt. Tala pulled a throwing knife from her belt and sniffed the wind. No scent. Too cold. But you're right. Mei turned slowly. And then she saw her. A figure stood at the edge of the trees, cloaked in black, her face hidden behind a mask of lacquered gold. The mask was shaped like a phoenix, but one with no eyes, no mouth, only silence. The emblem on her shoulder was unmistakable. Silk Court Prime. An enforcer. The highest rank. The one sent only when death needed no questions. She's not just here to kill us, Tala said softly. She's here to erase us. The woman stepped forward, boots making no sound on the snow. She said only one thing. Agent Mei Ling of the Silk Court. By oath and blood, return what was given. Or be unmade. Mei took one step forward. I am not yours anymore. The enforcer's head tilted. You are what we built. You carry our blade. You breathe our fire. The oath is not broken because you wish it so. Mei's hand curled into a fist. I carry my blade. And I'll burn your fire. Kai started to step forward, but Mei held up her hand. No, she said. This is mine. The fight began in silence. No war cry. No warning. Just motion. The enforcer struck with brutal elegance, no wasted movement, no hesitation. Twin blades shimmered in her hands, laced with dark steel and silk binding. Every strike was a memory Mei had tried to forget. But now, she remembered. The training. The punishments. The girl forced to hold a knife before she held an aim. The voice in her head that said emotion was weakness. That love was a crack in the foundation. That freedom was a myth. That pain was purpose. She blocked the first strike. Spun. Countered. Dodged a sweep meant to take her legs. The enforcer was faster. Stronger. But Mei was something else now. The memory struck her mid-duel. A candlelit room. An oath whispered at 10 years old. I am silk sharpened to shadow. I serve without name. I die without legacy. No. Not anymore. The enforcer lunged, slicing May's shoulder. Pain exploded. She dropped to one knee. Blood on snow. And then she laughed. Not loudly, but deeply. The enforcer paused. I die without legacy? May said. You already did. You gave me nothing. You erased my name. But the phoenix gave it back. She stood, raised her blade, and for the first time, didn't use the style they taught her. She moved like herself. Unpredictable. Raw. Flawed. Free. The final blow came not with precision, but with choice. She stepped inside the enforcer's guard, took a cut across her ribs, and drove her blade straight into the hollow of her opponent's chest. The enforcer staggered, dropped her swords, collapsed. The snow around them turned red. Kai and Tala ran to her side. She was trembling. Not from cold. From release. She was the last piece of them inside me, May whispered. Kai brushed the blood from her cheek. And now I am not silk, she said. I'm fire. They buried the body beneath the snow, marked only with a single phoenix carved into bark. No name. Because she had never been given one. Because the silk court had no graves. Later that night, as they camped on a ridge overlooking the ancient pass to the Phoenix Temple, May watched the flames flicker and felt something inside her change. Not just power. Not just memory. But a shift in her soul. She no longer moved to survive. She moved to lead. And when Kai offered her his hand to hold, she took it. Not because she needed saving, but because they had chosen each other, in a world that had tried to make them tools. Chapter 13 Fire Beneath the Palace. The path to the Phoenix Temple wound through cliffs veiled in mist. By dawn, the trees had thinned. The wind no longer carried snow, but ashes, faint, ancient, the scent of burned parchment and oil-soaked silk. Birds did not sing here. No animals stirred. Even the river that ran beside the trail had frozen, not with cold, but with silence. Mei Ling felt it long before she saw it. A pulse. Low. Steady. Like a heartbeat, buried deep beneath the earth. They crested the final ridge, and there it was. The Phoenix Temple. Or what remained of it. Blackened pillars rose from the earth like charred bones. The central spire had collapsed inward, cracked through its golden peak. Murals once vibrant had faded to ghost-smudged fragments. The courtyard was littered with shattered offerings, their symbols worn smooth by time and forgotten war. May stepped forward, heart tight. She had been here once. A lifetime ago. As a child hiding behind her mother's legs. As a daughter of flame. Are you sure this is it? Tala asked. Kai nodded. My mother said the temple would call us when the empire began to rot. And now it's screaming. They moved carefully, weapons drawn. Even the air felt heavy, as if the very stones had stories they wanted to tell, but had been gagged for centuries. At the heart of the ruins stood the sanctum gate, a circular stone slab sealed with a spiral engraving, half buried in ash. It pulsed. Faintly. Golden veins running through the carved spiral like magma frozen in time. This is it, Kai whispered. It only opens for phoenix blood. May stepped forward, drawing the ring from her sash. She hesitated, then looked to Kai. Together? He nodded. They pressed their palms against the gate, his left, her right. The ring burned. The seal on his back lit beneath his cloak. And the gate opened. Not with sound, but with light. A spiral of glowing glyphs unwound, unlocking layer by layer until the stone rolled aside, revealing a stairwell that descended into the mountain's chest. A gust of warm air hit them, smelling of incense, rusted armor, and forgotten magic. The sanctum beneath the temple was not dead. It had waited. A chamber of mirrored walls and golden flame, with 7 stone thrones carved in the likeness of phoenixes. At the center stood a basin filled with living fire, hovering inches above the stone, suspended in a field of invisible force. The walls bore murals untouched by time, the rise of the phoenix bloodline, the first empress marked by fire, the betrayal of the throne by silk-bound assassins. And at the far end, resting on an altar carved with the names of every burned dynasty, was a single scroll sealed with red wax. May approached it slowly. Her footsteps echoed like thunder in the stillness. She broke the seal and read aloud. To the one who survived the fire. To the one who forgot her name to carry ours. You are the last mirror of our truth. The Empress is not the crown. The Empress is the blade. May froze. Tala stepped beside her. What does that mean? Kai's face was pale. The Empress wasn't the one who ended the Phoenix line. He turned to the mural on the right. A woman in royal robes, eyes covered with silk. Holding a knife. Stabbing a phoenix through the heart. And beneath her feet, the seal of the Silk Court. The Silk Court created the Empire. May's voice was barely a whisper. They staged a fall. They made the Empress a puppet. And they used us to burn history. Tala cursed softly. Which means they'll never let you live. No, May said, lifting her eyes to the ceiling. It means they'll never let the truth live. But there was more. Kai had stepped toward the basin of flame. His ring glowed as he reached into the fire. No burns. Just warmth. Inside, he found a second scroll, coiled around a piece of bone. He handed it to May. She opened it. The girl of silk will rise in fire. The heir will kneel not to love, but to truth. Together they will burn the false crown. And from ash, the empire reborn. She read it twice. Then looked at Kai. The prophecy was never about death, she said. It was about choice. They had what they came for. But something had changed. The truth was no longer just history. It was a weapon. And it would either save the empire or tear it apart. As they emerged from the temple hours later, wind howling through the ruins behind them, May turned once more to look at the sanctum gate. The fire still pulsed within. Alive. Waiting. Just like her. Chapter 14. The Price of Memory. They left the Phoenix Temple under cover of twilight. No words were spoken. No fire was lit. Even the wind seemed to carry the weight of the truth they now bore. Mei Ling's mind raced with every step down the mountain, every phrase carved into the sanctum walls, every flicker of prophecy rewritten by her own hands. The scrolls had been clear. The Empress wasn't the crown. She was the blade. And May? May was the fire that blade had failed to kill. By the second day of travel, the forest changed. Where once there were birds, now there were crows. Where once there was mist, now smoke drifted through the trees, faint and acrid. Tala dropped to one knee, fingertips pressed to the soil. Burned recently, she muttered. 3 days at most. Rebels? Kai asked. No. Too clean. Too precise. She stood. It's Silk Court work. They've started the purge. May's blood went cold. What purge? Tala looked grim. Standard Silk Court retaliation. When the court can't kill the leaders, they silence the whispers. Anyone who's sheltered you, aided you, or even looked too long in your direction, they're being erased. But no one knew where we were. Kai said. Tala arched a brow. The court doesn't need facts. They just need a symbol. And now that you two are wearing the phoenix again, you've made yourselves very symbolic. They changed course instantly, cutting through the lowland villages where Tala's rebel contacts lived and passed coded messages. Most were already burned out or empty. Others had been looted. Families gone. No bodies, just silence. And then they reached the village of Hyphen. A quiet coastal town once home to an old master scribe, the same man who had taught May's mother how to code Phoenix language into silk embroidery. She'd spoken of him only once, calling him the one who remembered when we could still speak freely. They arrived to find smoke still rising from the rooftops. The temple bell lay shattered in the snow. And nailed to the village's main hall was a single red silk banner, stained black at the edges. Kai pulled it down. It bore one word. Warning. Tala led them through the wreckage, blades drawn. No signs of recent fighting, but scorch marks curled along the walls in phoenix spiral patterns. Mockery. They wanted you to see this, Tala said. This wasn't just execution. It was a message. May stood in front of the scribe's hut. It had collapsed inward, the beams burned to brittle charcoal. She stepped forward, heart pounding. There, beside the broken door, was a bundle of cloth. A robe. Pale green. Light enough for an old man to wear in spring. Her knees gave out. She dropped to the ground, clutching the ash-stained fabric in her hands. Kai knelt beside her, silent. No tears fell. There was no time for grief. Not anymore. Just memory. And resolve. Inside the hut's scorched remains, Tala found something unusual. A tile, untouched by flame, half buried in the stone floor. She pried it loose. Beneath it, a scroll. Wrapped in waterproof silk. May opened it, her hands trembling. Inside, only 3 lines, written in Phoenix script. They took my tongue but not my fire. The true name of the Empress is hidden in the Black Lotus Chamber. Go west before the bloom dies. May stared. What is the Black Lotus Chamber? Kai asked. Tala answered. A secret wing of the Imperial Archive. Only accessible by Empress decree. If her name, her real identity, is in there, then the truth can no longer be denied. May finished. We expose it, we burn the mask off the Empire. Kai's voice was quiet. But it means going straight into the serpent's den. May stood, shoulders squared, the ash still staining her hands. Then we go. That night, they buried the scribe beneath the only unburned tree in the village, a withered cherry blossom stump, its trunk split in 2 but still clinging to life. May didn't speak during the burial. But when the final stone was placed, she pressed her hand to the earth and whispered in Phoenix tongue. I will not forget you. Even if the Empire forgets itself. The wind stirred. The snow fell. And far to the west, beneath the golden walls of the palace, the Empress dreamed in crimson, unaware that her name would soon become her undoing. Chapter 15. One night before the fall. Spring festival had always been a lie. The firecrackers, the lanterns, the river of silk that flowed through the capital streets, it was all designed to hide the sound of knives. Mei Ling had never seen the city this alive. Or this blind. Red dragons danced in the courtyards. Children tossed painted wishes into the river. Nobles paraded past in golden robes, their eyes too drunk on firelight to notice the soldiers posted at every rooftop. The city celebrated renewal. And beneath it, 3 traitors hunted truth. Mei, Kai, and Tala moved in silence through the alleys behind the temple district. Tala had secured guard uniforms earlier from a corrupt gatekeeper who thought she was just a flirtatious traveling performer. Now, dressed in charcoal gray cloaks and helmed masks, they blended in with the watch rotations. The Imperial Archive loomed ahead, 5 stories of ink and stone, sealed by royal decree, surrounded by walls carved with the names of past empresses and emperors. And hidden within, the Black Lotus Chamber. A vault of sealed truths, guarded by firelocks and oath-bound scribes who aged into silence. No entry without Empress approval. Unless you lied better than she did. They entered through the ash tunnel beneath the eastern gate, a forgotten maintenance shaft once used to carry scrolls too dangerous to be catalogued. Tala disabled the glyph traps with surgical ease, whispering hexbreaker phrases under her breath. Kai led with the blade. May followed with the ring, her phoenix flame low but steady, the firelight pulsing in her veins like a second heartbeat. After 20 minutes of weaving through darkened corridors and scentless ink vaults, they found it. The door to the Black Lotus Chamber. Carved obsidian. No lock. No handle. Only a seal. A hand pressed over a flame. Phoenix blood. Kai stepped forward, but May stopped him. No, she said. This is my choice. She placed her hand on the stone. The fire licked her palm but did not burn. And the door opened. Inside, the chamber was round. Quiet. Dustless. Thousands of lotus petals had been pressed into the walls like ancient scrolls, each inscribed with a single name, date, or secret. At the center, a mirrored pedestal. Upon it, a single scroll case, bound in white silk and sealed with red wax. May opened it. Inside. Name at birth Anhua. Identity, first Phoenix daughter. Designation, assassin mother. Task, infiltrate the Phoenix Temple. Final order, assassinate the bloodline. Installed as imperial advisor and head of the Silk Court. Codename, the Empress. May's hand went cold. Kai read over her shoulder. Then whispered, "She wasn't a puppet. She was the architect," Tala said. "She was the Empress." The truth crashed through May's body like ice. Mistress Anhua, the woman who raised her, trained her, lied to her, broke her, wasn't the Empress's advisor. She was the Empress. The oaths. The propaganda. The assassinations. All of it had been ordered by a ghost in plain sight. And the face the Empire worshipped, the serene, aloof woman behind the silk veil. That wasn't her. That was a body double. A mask. A puppet empress to carry out her will while she operated in shadow. May dropped the scroll. "She burned my mother alive," she whispered, "and taught me to hold the match." The room trembled. Faintly. A pulse. "The fire's waking," Kai said. "It knows she's near." Tala moved to the wall, scanning the petals. "We need to take what we can. Copy proof. Expose her before she silences us again." "No," May said, suddenly calm. "We take her." Kai turned. "What are you saying?" "She's not a myth anymore," May said. "She's flesh. She bleeds. She hides behind a veil while the court worships a fake face. She'll expect us to run," Tala said. "Then we walk straight into her throne room," May whispered. They left with the scroll. With names. With copies of the sacred petals hidden in Kai's cloak. And with a purpose no longer tied to prophecy or survival. Only justice. That night, they found an abandoned pavilion outside the city walls. They lit no fire. Just a single lantern. And May leaned into Kai's arms. "I kissed you the first time because I thought it would be our last," she said. He touched her cheek. "And if it is? Then it was worth it." He pulled her close. The stars burned quietly above them. Tomorrow, the Empire would fall. But tonight, they remembered what it meant to live. Chapter 16: The Empire's Lie. Morning in the imperial capital came dressed in red. Not the red of roses, or silken joy, or celebration. But the red of command, stitched into every banner, painted across the palace walls, soaked into the flags flying from the golden tower. 1,000 soldiers lined the courtyards. The Empress's double, cloaked in flawless perfection, stood on the steps of the celestial throne. And behind her? Mistress Anhua. Unmasked? Alive. Watching from the shadows with a face May hadn't seen since the night she left her bleeding in the snow. But now everyone could see her. Everyone. The true Empress of the Empire. And today, she was hosting a festival. May, Kai, and Tala stood in the crowd dressed in servant silks, veils hiding their faces. The plan was simple. 1. Get close. 2. Reveal the truth. 3. Survive the chaos that followed. The scroll was hidden in Kai's sash, alongside the copied petals. May's hands were steady. But her heart? A battlefield. The Empress's voice rang out across the square, amplified by echo casters, clear and serene. Today, we celebrate renewal. Let every citizen know the Empire stands strong. That the Phoenix rises not in rebellion, but in order. May stepped forward. She didn't wait for the end of the speech. Didn't wait for the signal. She walked straight through the crowd, past guards, past nobles, past trembling priests. And through the scroll at the Empress's feet. The crowd gasped. The double looked down. Mistress Anhua stepped forward, but May was faster. Tell them the truth. Her voice cut through the silence like a blade. Tell them who you are. No more veils. No more names carved into other people's graves. The Empress's double faltered. And then, Mistress Anhua stepped into the light. No longer hidden. No longer soft. Her voice was cold as glass. Arrest the traitor. Chaos erupted. Guards surged forward. Kai leapt from the crowd, sword flashing. Tala hurled knives faster than breath. The petals were thrown into the air, spinning like falling stars. Names. Dates. Decrees. Truth. All of it rained down over the crowd. And then, one guard hesitated. Then another. And another. Eyes scanned the petals. Read the words. Saw the name Anhua beneath the title First Phoenix Daughter. Whispers rose. Is it true? She's the real Empress? They killed the Phoenix Temple? Who's the girl with the fire? May faced her former mistress, breath sharp, fire burning beneath her skin. You raised me to be silent, she said. But I remembered my name. Anhua tilted her head. Names are paper. You were silk. And silk burns. I'm not silk anymore, May said. She raised her hand. The ring on her finger ignited in gold light. And from the rooftops, rebel banners unfurled, the phoenix sigil in full rise. The crowd erupted. Not in panic. In revolt. Citizens threw guards from balconies. Rebels stormed the outer gates. Old soldiers who'd once sworn to the throne now turned their blades on commanders they didn't trust. And through the chaos, May and Kai ran. Not away, but toward the golden tower. In the throne hall, Anhua waited, no longer robed, no longer veiled. Just her. A blade in each hand. The same expression May had seen 100 times in training. Win or be forgotten. They clashed like firestorms. Anhua fought with precision, fury, and memory. May fought with fire, chaos, and will. They moved through smoke, through shattered glass, through screams rising outside as the rebellion bloomed. And in the final moment, with blood in her mouth and ash in her hair, May drove her blade forward, only to stop 1 inch from Anhua's throat. The older woman did not flinch. Do it, she said. It's what I made you for. May shook her head. No, she whispered. That's why I won't. And she turned away. Outside, the city burned. But in its heart, something was being rebuilt. Not from command. Not from fear, but from truth. Chapter 17. The General's Surrender. Smoke bled through the golden halls. Outside, the capital screamed. Bells rang from shattered towers. Rebel banners flew over rooftops where palace guards once stood. Cries of, "Phoenix rises!" echoed through the streets. Inside the throne room, silence hung like a sword above them. Mistress Anhua, wounded, bleeding, lay unconscious, bound in scorched silk by Tala's expert knots. May stood over her, face unreadable, ring still glowing faintly on her hand. She had made her choice. Mercy. But the Empire would not give her the same. The doors to the throne room burst open. A flood of guards surged in, 20, maybe more. Faces familiar, and not. Some looked afraid. Others furious. None of them carried confusion in their eyes. Only orders. At their head, Commander Liu Bai. Silver armor. Black gloves. The Empress's most loyal military commander. He stepped over the burning petals and broken glass, voice calm and cold. "You will come with us." May raised her chin. "The truth is out. The people won't kneel anymore." Liu Bai's lips curled. "Then we bury them with their banners." He raised his hand. And then, Kai stepped forward. "No!" His voice rang like steel against stone. May turned sharply. "Kai!" But he didn't look at her. He looked only at Liu Bai. "I am General Kai Shin, former commander of the Empress's southern armies, bearer of the Phoenix Seal." Liu Bai's brows rose slightly. "I surrender." May froze. "What are you doing?" Kai turned to her, his eyes fierce, quiet, and full of something far more dangerous than obedience. "Resolve. If they take me, they'll believe the threat is gone," he said fast and low. "They'll stop burning cities. They'll think the rebellion has no teeth without its heir. But that's not true. It doesn't matter. Let them think it is. You can't." Kai cupped her face, gentle despite the chaos. "This was never about me." "You're the flame," May whispered. He shook his head. "No. You are. I was the kindling. That's all I ever needed to be." He kissed her. Not out of passion. Not out of panic. But out of finality. And she knew. He wasn't coming back. He stepped away before she could stop him. Walked to Liu Bai with no blade in hand, no defiance in his spine. Only choice. "I surrender," he said again. "Under condition." Liu Bai narrowed his eyes. "You're in no position to bargain. You take me, you leave them." A long pause. Then, the faintest nod. Tala pulled May back, biting her lip to keep from cursing aloud. May didn't resist. Because if she did, Kai's sacrifice would mean nothing. As the soldiers bound Kai's hands, May turned her back. Not in anger. In agony. Because if she met his eyes again, she wouldn't let him go. And the Empire would burn for real. When the throne room cleared, only ashes and wind remained. May stood at the base of the Phoenix dais, blood-streaked, ring still glowing, voice hollow. "He gave himself for this." Tala touched her shoulder. "Then let's make it worth it." Outside, the city was shifting. Not crumbling. Not dying. But changing. The people now saw the face of their empress. The mask had fallen. And with it, so did their fear. But a kingdom without a crown is still a war waiting to happen. May knew that. Which is why she stepped into the fire and didn't flinch.
Across every empire, every forgotten age, stories still whisper. If this tale stirred your spirit, leave a like to honor the echoes of the past. Share your thoughts in the comments. Every voice weaves a new legend into the sands of time. And subscribe to our YouTube channel Historical Fantasy Stories. where myths walk beside history, and every discovery changes the world. The next forgotten legend is waiting to be found.